Hi, I'm Caitlin Gomez here at the GBTA broadcast studio, and it is my honor and pleasure to be here with two of my favorite people, Erin Wilk from Facebook and Andrew Miller from iJet. Thank you guys so much for joining. And before we go any further, I do have to congratulate Erin on winning Direct Member of the Year. Hot off the press, she just came off of stage 2 minutes ago.
Thank you.
Very, very, very well deserved, and it was the hardest secret that Andy and I kept all week. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But part of why you got that award was due to how much you volunteer and give back to the organization and to everyone around you. So I really kind of wanted to start off talking about your experience and Andy's experience with the program. Could you tell me why you wanted to mentor together?
Yeah, so Caitlin, both Erin and I were mentees within the program. As you know, I think you recruited us both personally.
I told you to join.
It worked.
So at the time when you asked us to be mentors, we actually had both gone through a career transition, I think within a month or two before when you asked. So that was 2 transitions ago for me, and then Erin had recently joined Facebook. Both of those roles had increased travel, increased responsibility load. We said we would love to be part of the mentor program. However, with the new roles and the timing, we can't necessarily commit 100%. So huge appreciation to the Ladders executive team said, fine, we'll try it this year, put 2 together, and you guys can kind of tag team that.
And I would say too, with the design, because we knew being co-mentors was a unique situation, we also chose to then put a little bit of thought and intention behind how we then managed our group. So while most folks know that Ladders is centered around a project and a theme, we also chose to take our group and actually meet monthly with them. We spent the same hour each month on the first Friday of the month together. Half of that we actually brought someone from a C-suite, variety of sectors across the industry, to speak about how did you get where you are, what's something exciting you're working on, and where do you see this industry going in 3 to 5 years. And then we spent the other half reading leadership books, doing activities, like other pieces of the program that connected us as a group as well, because we felt like we knew we had asked for a unique facet being co-mentors, so it was really a responsibility for us to make sure that we took our program a little bit to the next level too.
Well, whatever you did worked, because your team won this year and had a fantastic presentation and actually presented yesterday during our education session. And I really think it was in large part due to really how much time and effort you put into it. And you know, I'd love to see you guys mentor the mentors next year. But it's kind of, you know, because you're trying to figure out how to do it. And I think you took a unique approach putting yourselves into it. So tell me about your team's project a little bit more and kind of how they came to that conclusion of what they wanted to do.
Yeah, so the project was 100% them. We gave them no guidelines, we gave them no parameters. We said, here's what works. We gave them some tips just going through it and being part of, I think Erin and I have both been fortunate to be a part of a number of presentations, both at the National GBTA convention as well as the local chapter events. So we know what works, what looks good on stage, what works on phone versus in person. So we gave them maybe probably 20 minutes of tips and said, go do your thing. And they came back to us a couple times with some drafts, and we made some minor adjustments, but 100% was them.
And it was interesting too, because within our group of mentees, we had airlines represented, hotels, rental car, and marketing consultancy side. So I think the group's project was a great reflection of how, when a group is open and inclusive, they can pull on each other's strengths. So they had this idea of, okay, the future of travel, what comes next? Like, that's a huge topic. But they recognize that this idea of traveler centricity and personalization is really a narrative that is getting more press in the industry. And yet the other angle of that is data, and no one's really been able to unpack data. So that's where the idea of it's all about you, refocus back on the traveler, but yet, you know, through their presentation, I think one of the things we enjoyed the most was, you know, a lot of presentations provide information, but theirs at the end provided recommendations for what to do next. Yeah. And I think you saw that in the delivery of the material too. So it was really neat to watch it come together. And again, different skill sets and areas of expertise from the group. And then, you know, at the end of the day, presentation is the secret sauce. Yeah. And they practiced, and they were really, really intentional about the detail.
Yeah. So do you think Ladders is important, and why?
Yes.
We both can probably speak for 20 minutes on this one.
And we're biased. You know, and it's fascinating, actually, personally for me. 5 years ago, I was in Boston at my first GBTA convention. So fast forward, and today's recognition was enormously humbling for me. And yet, ladders didn't even exist then.
Yeah.
You know, there were those of us that knew each other, but there was no formalization of a program that said, look, there are leaders in the industry that have expertise and knowledge to share, and there are emerging leaders that we're not spending enough time with. And I think Ladders has really bridged that gap. I also think Ladders has driven forward a conversation in the industry that's been needed for a long time, and that is one that involves more innovation and diversity and inclusion than it has in the past. So, you know, it's like anything, you get out of it what you put into it. And I personally, and I think you might agree too, Andy, none of us got where we are by ourselves. And so to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I think Ladders is a tangible program now within GBTA where those of us that have learned and are still learning, I think as mentors, we learned as much, if not more, from our group than they did from us. And so it's an incredible opportunity for, again, that information sharing, but it also enhances your GBTA experience. And I think you alluded to that yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, you have then this posse you kind of run with, and people that you know, and that sense of community is what will continue to enrich, in my opinion, this organization.
And we see it on two different sides, on the buyer and the supplier side. And I know this year was the best year for the number of buyers that were involved in Ladders, and I'd love to see that continue to grow. Even on the supplier side, though, it's helpful for me to know what's going on with the airlines, the hotels, the car rentals, the consulting firms. That helps me do my job better. So as Erin was saying, and we mentioned yesterday, I think we got more out of it probably than our team did.
Well, I have to say thank you for being part of my posse, and thank you
Absolutely.
for believing in the program and putting as much heart and soul into it as you did, and we're much better for it. So thank you so much for taking the
Thank you.
time
Absolutely.
to come and talk to us. And that's all from us here at the GBTA Broadcast Studio, and we'll talk to you next time.